They live among the locals, but are not recognized as citizens of the country.
Anak-anak semua 10 orang lahir Sabah. Tidak diistihar juga kelahiran diorang. Tidak diiktiraf juga di sini.
And even though they've been living in the country all their lives, they don't exist legally as a people in the place they were born.
Saya mau anak-anak saya macam diorang sinilah, orang tempatan tapi apa boleh buat. Kerajaan tidak bagi.
The hard truth is, if you were born here, and you've lived your entire life here, and you've given birth to children here, how do you argue for somebody to get lost?
There are over 1 million non-Malaysians living in Sabah today, and they include undocumented, stateless migrants who've made Sabah their new home. But they've been denied their basic rights that other citizens enjoy, including the rights to education, healthcare, and employment.
These are people too. They have rights, and we have to recognize those rights, and we need to find a solution.
Who are these marginalised and unrecognised citizens, otherwise known as Malaysia's invisible people? Is there really a future for them living in a home away from home? The East Malaysian state of Sabah is well known for its pristine beaches and idyllic islands. Located on the northern tip of Borneo, it shares a maritime border with Indonesia and the Philippines. But Sabah is also notoriously known for its porous borders, and that has made leaving or re-entering the state from the two neighbouring countries fairly easy. Some Filipino and Malaysian islands are so close to each other that it takes less than half an hour to reach Sabah waters by speedboat. This is also why so many Filipinos ended up in Sabah, including 47-year-old fisherman Joblin, not his real name. He arrived in Sabah when he was just a baby. His parents and aunt fled from their hometown to escape the continuous fighting between the government and Muslim rebel forces in the country's restive region. He therefore has no recollection of what exactly happened. Joblin has been living in Sabah for almost 50 years now, but he tries to lie low for fear of being harassed by the Malaysian authorities and deported back to the Philippines.
Saya dibawa oleh orang tua, tapi saya tidak tahulah, masih saya kecil. Di mana saya dilahirkan, di Sampurna kah atau di Filipina, saya tidak tahu. Masih lagi saya bayu. Nah, sampai mati orang tua saya, makcik saya yang kebanyakannya bilangnya ada perang di Filipina. Nah, orang larilah dari sana, pergi Sampurna.
In the 1970s, the secessionist conflict erupted in the southern Philippines between the government forces and the Muslim armed militias, the Moro National Liberation Front. The fighting forced thousands to flee the southern Philippines to Sabah. As the conflict escalated, more and more Filipinos arrived on Malaysian soil. But life as a migrant in Sabah is not easy. Joblin, for one, doesn't want to venture out into the nearby towns. Instead, he spends most of his time on the island or out at sea to fish. Being a stateless person, he lives in constant fear, afraid of being arrested by the authorities.
Saya jarang juga pergi bandar. Mau cari kehidupan saja di laut saja. Nelayan, mau cari yang kehidupan makan lah. Kalau pergi bandar lagi, kalau duit saja 50, mana cukup. Nah, kirim sajalah sama orang, kawan-kawan, beli beras kah.
Joblin is married with 7 children. All of them were born and bred in Sabah. Yet they've not been granted Malaysian citizenship, even though they've lived in the state their entire lives and feel as local as any other citizen in the country.
Apa kamu rasa? Kamu ni orang Sabah ke? Kamu orang Malaysia ke apa?
Saya orang Sabah.
Tapi pernah tak orang bilang dengan kau yang kau bukan orang Sabah?
Iya, tak pernah.
Living without documentation means they're not able to benefit from the nation's development. With no education, the family struggles to earn a decent income to help to put food on the table. Joblin's children have been brought up in Sabah all along, and they are therefore attracted by the lure of bigger towns and the opportunities that these places could offer. But there's only so much they can do to realize their dream, owing to their status as a stateless community. With no education or proper documentation, the fear of being caught by the authorities has forced them to remain completely isolated from the rest of society. In the end, they'll grow up in poverty, becoming fishermen all their lives, deprived of all the employment opportunities provided in the city centre.
Ada juga bimbang lah, pasal dia orang nak tidak juga tahu berapa pergi, mau kerja di darat kah, tidak boleh, mau di laut saja. Nah, kau tahu lah yang di laut ini cepat tua, biarpun muda cepat tua, pasal itu air masin itu, nah memang kita cepat tua. Mau dia orang ikut pergi darat, tidak boleh. Nah di sini saja, di laut, ikut pergi laut saja. Saya mau anak-anak saya macam di orang sinilah, orang tempatan, tapi apa boleh buat. Kerajaan tidak bagi. Kalau dia orang bagi, nah ada senang. Mau pergi sekolah pun tidak boleh pergi sekolah.
According to the law, Malaysian citizenship is granted to a person born on Malaysian soil or a person born to Malaysian parents. Being stateless, Joblin's children aren't able to enjoy all the rights and privileges accorded to citizens, including access to education, healthcare and employment. And even if Joblin tries to apply for citizenship, there's no guarantee that he'll get it.
The position taken by the government in Malaysia is that granting a citizenship is at their absolute discretion. Article 19 of the Federal Constitution provides that any person of or above 21 years of age who is not a citizen may be granted a certificate of naturalization, provided that he or she satisfies certain criteria under the Constitution. For example, there are 3 criteria that is needed to establish. There is a residence in the country for the required periods, and he or she intends to reside in Malaysia permanently. He or she of good character, and also he or she possessing an adequate knowledge of Bahasa Melayu language. It is nearly impossible for the common person on the street who are stuck with the statelessness problem to find their way around the legal labyrinth without the support of paralegals, intermediary organizations, or lawyers.
Sabah's Deputy Chief Minister, Dr. Jeffrey Kittingan, feels that the problem of the undocumented stateless community in Sabah has been going on for far too long, to the extent that it has caused locals to feel upset over their growing presence.
This has been going on for a long time. I think somewhere between the 1970s and the 1990s. So I think it's been going on for the last 30 years. And how bad is it? It's really bad. Why is it bad? Because for 2 things. One is because of the sheer numbers, and they are undocumented, and if they commit crimes or whatever, we don't know who they are. Well, they feel very bad about it. They are not happy about it. Not because they are foreigners, but because they have created problems for the state, particularly the problems of enforcement, the problems of political problems, and besides that, the migrants also comprise of people who belong to groups, terrorist groups, for example, ISIS, Abu Sayyaf, these kind of people, and therefore the Sabahans are worried that this has become a big monster that we are unable to control.
Dublin and his children are part of the millions of stateless, undocumented persons who were hoping to be granted citizenship one day. Such recognition would allow them to live and function like any other local citizen in the country, free from fear or intimidation.
Kalau dia orang di komen bagus, tidak ditangkap atau di anu itu, boleh kerja. Nah, kau tahu lah di sini, mau isi saja baru boleh pakai. Kalau macam begini, tidak diambil. Nah, kalau nelayan ini, boleh. Ikutlah sama saya, pakai dayung di sana, pergi nunuye, pergi libaran, menyelam. Nah, itu dah dia orang, misal kehidupan orang Bajau ini, mau nelayan saja.
How long can they live as stateless people? Will they be able to cope with life's challenges as invisible or hidden members of society? The 43-year-old Siti, not her real name, has no permanent home. She's been moving from one place to another in an effort to find a secure location away from the prying eyes of authorities. Home for her is this makeshift hut located in the slum region near Kota Kinabalu, the capital of Sabah. Siti is a single mother who has 10 children. The oldest is 26, while the youngest is just 6 years old.
Di sini agak lama juga lah sudah berpindah-pindah. Di mana ada tempat bekerja anak-anak, di situlah dia tidak tetap punya tempat. Lagipun ini tempat, ini kampung nih, dia baru-baru ini dia dirubuh. Jadi kalau betul-betul mau dirubuh, berkemungkinan bulan depan, mungkin tahun depan, dan kami tidak tahu di manalah akan datang. Buat masa ini kami masih di sini, tapi memang tidak tetaplah punya tempat, memang tidak tetap.
Being an undocumented and stateless person makes it harder for Siti to hold on to a permanent job to support her family. Raising all her 10 children single-handedly, therefore, has been a constant struggle. She's been taking on many odd jobs, including working at the construction site, carrying bricks, cement and tools to other construction workers just to survive.
They do move to places where there are available jobs. And the truth is, many people in Sabah, including institutions, organizations, they depend on people who can offer informal services. They depend on people who are able to take up these jobs that are seen as very difficult, very dirty, in some cases maybe even demeaning, because the pay isn't great, right? And at the same time, the belief is that Malaysian Sabahans who are there are not interested in those jobs, right? And I think the entire debate around this is a difficult one.
But quite often for Siti, what she gets does not commensurate with the effort that she puts in.
Kalau kau kerja sana bangunan, kau punya gaji sudah separuh, begitu kena bayar, tidak ikut yang, kalau contohnya orang yang ada dokumen, dia akan dibayar lebih. Kalau orang tiada dokumen, orang asing macam kami, macam kami lah orang asing, dia akan bayar sikit lah. Dia bayar biasa, kalau saya perempuan dia kasih 40 lah. Kalau yang orang ada dokumen. Kalau orang tiada dokumen 10 ringgit dibagi pada yang pihak menjaga di bangunan tuh. Seperti pihak-pihak yang macam seperti polis kah, immigration kah, dia akan datang setiap bulan untuk ambil mana yang tiada dokumen. Karena kira satu-satu berapa kepala, putung dari situlah 10 ringgit setiap satu orang.
According to Siti, the makeshift houses that she built have been destroyed by the authorities because they were illegally constructed. But each time that happened, Siti would find a new place to rebuild another shelter for herself and her 10 children.
Pun akhirnya diorang roboh dan kami ambil bangun balik. Itu pungut tu kayu balik, pasang balik. Begitulah. Jadi memang itu yang saya bilang sangat sedih itu kan, sebab keluarga begini ramai, lepas tu yang macam yang tiada penghujung lah, ya macam yang tiada penghujung, dia setakat boleh hidup yang macam ni saja.
Like most other migrants, Siti's family came to Sabah to escape the violence and conflict in the southern Philippines. Her parents arrived in a small town called Kuna on the east coast of Sabah back in the 1970s. Siti was still very young then, and they all came with nothing. No money, no documents, a few clothes, and very little hope. And although her father was later granted refugee status, Siti, on the other hand, had none, making her an illegal immigrant.
Jadi mula-mula ada juga saya hippie lah dulu masa kecil. Saya tidak ingat yang saya bangga lah. Saya tinggal di negara yang aman pada masa itu. Saya masih kecil lah. Bapak saya ada pada masa itu dia pelarian. Pelarian yang tahun 70-an punya, dia ada. Jadi yang kami anak ni kan kami tidak tahu kenapa. Kami tidak dibagi sudah untuk pelarian punya. Kami tidak tahu kenapa. Yang bapak kami ada. Jadi sampailah bapak saya tiada sudah. Jadi kami beginilah kejadian kami. Inilah yang masih hidup juga, masih bernyawa. Dan beginilah, tapi yang akan datang kami tidak tahulah apa akan jadi.
But living as undocumented persons would often make them vulnerable to all forms of exploitation. According to Siti, many of them have become victims of extortion by the authorities.
Banyak kali sudah. Itulah kalau mau berjalan kan karena memang berhati-hatilah kalau berjalan. Sebab biasa diorang yang meraun berkeliling-keliling itu yang diorang cari begitulah. Memang diorang cari yang diorang boleh dapat duit. Macam tu. Tidak kira lah polis kah, immigration kah, diorang memang duit. Itu yang diorang mau. Jadi di situ macam kalau macam serbuan pergi rumah situ yang yang paling berat lah. Sebab kalau serbuan pergi rumah kan kita ramai-ramai di situ. Kita ramai-ramai di situ berkeluarga. Jadi dia akan pilih mana yang besar. Dia akan kira berapa orang anak kau dalam rumah, dia akan pilih mana yang besar. Kasih bangun untuk bincang lah. Kau ada duit, kau boleh runding di orang lah. Kalau kau tiada, dia orang akan bawa pergi rumah merah, akan dijatuhkan hukuman. Dia bilang pendatang tanpa izin, dia bilang pendatang haram, dia bilang. Nah itulah. Baru kalau diikutkan, dia orang bukan yang datang sini, yang pendatang dari luar tempat. Macam anak saya, dia sudah lahir sini. Jadi dia bukan datang di sini pendatang haram.
As a stateless person, Siti and her family don't have access to public services such as healthcare and education. Siti, for one, will not go to the hospital or clinic for treatment if she falls ill. Unlike the locals, she can't enjoy any subsidies, making such visits a very costly affair.
Dia pilihan kalau saya akan rawat dulu dia di rumah lah. Biasa saya rawat dulu dia di rumah. Saya beli obat dulu sana di apa? Sana di tuh Pakistan tuh. Beli obat dulu tuh tahan panas apa? Kasih keluar panas dulu. Kasih minum itu dulu bang panas. Kasih makan dulu di rumah. Kalau macam dia tidak apa dia makin teruk juga terpaksa pilihan dia terpaksa pergi lah. Pergi juga pergi klinik juga lah. Macam itulah.
Cost of giving birth is in a government hospital for a migrant or a stateless person is the same as giving birth in a private hospital. So most of them choose to give birth at home, which can be dangerous. So they cannot open bank accounts. They cannot. They cannot further studies. So there's a lot of things that they cannot do actually. Yeah.
The Department of Statistics Malaysia estimated in 2021 that there are approximately 250,000 non-citizen youths in Sabah. Most of these children don't have access to education. Lily, not her real name, is a Malaysian. She teaches at a community learning centre, or a CLC, that caters for undocumented children. They provide a well-rounded and relevant education for these children to give them a fighting chance of getting a job later on. But children of migrants often face arrest and detention, playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse with the authorities.
Dan kemungkinan orang akan tidak datang sekolah, bila datang sekolah orang akan bagi tahulah kami tidak dapat datang sekolah disebabkan bapa kena tangkap sebab yang hari Isnin, contoh hari Isnin kami diimbus oleh pihak-pihak berkuasa. So bapa saya kena tangkap sudah, so kami tidak boleh datang sekolah. Tapi kan cikgu kami tidur di hutan dan kami tidak boleh balik ke rumah selama beberapa hari sebab takut ditangkap. Dorang memang akan rasa tidak adil lah bagi dorang. Dia bilang kenapa kami perlu tinggal di hutan sedangkan kami pun tidak buat apa-apa. Bila bawa pergi pantai pun telah nampak peronda terus jadi macam tentera yang menyarap sebab cikgu kenapa kamu gitu sebab cikgu ada peronda nanti kami kena tangkap. Sangat sedih lah, memang sangat sedih.
All they're hoping for now is for the authorities to grant them citizenship so as to help put an end to their misery.
Saya ada terpikir sebab saya terpikir mau ada kewarganegaraan. Sekiranya saya dibagi, saya ada terpikir. Tapi itu mustahil, itu bagi orang warga negara apa kerajaan sini memang itu soalannya agak diorang pun boleh senyum kalau kau soal begitu. Saya mau ada warga negara. Dia boleh ketawa sendiri itu. Kau orang asing, kau minta itu terus warga negara. Tapi sekurang-kurangnya, kalau diorang tidak bagi sudah warga negara kan, cobalah diorang iktiraf sejak dia sebagai manusia yang dia boleh bekerja, yang dia boleh meneruskan hidup. Jadi memang itulah. Memang sangat susah lah. Mau cakap saya saja yang tahu apa yang saya rasa. Saya saja yang tahu, orang lain tiada yang tahu.
Is there really a way out of their predicament? Can the issue be resolved early, before it spirals out of control? Life has never been easy for 27-year-old Wong Kyung Hui, who was born in Sabah in January 1995. At the age of 9, he lost his father, who died from an acute retroviral disease. And his mother passed away when Wong turned 17. For a moment, he felt that the whole world had come crashing down on him. He had to find emotional comfort and solace in the foster family who took good care of him. But his life's struggle didn't end there. When he was 12, he went to the National Registration Department with his half-sister to apply for an identity card. That was when he came to understand that he wasn't a citizen of the country.
Masa pendaftaran itu surat beranak saya kena update. Saya pun tidak tahu sebab apa kena update, mungkin surat lahir saya itu sudah terlalu lama ataupun new system. Masa kena update tu suddenly di situ dinyatakan saya bukan warga negara. Tapi masa tu saya terlalu mudah untuk tahu semua benda ni lah, jadi saya pun macam yang mungkin dia belum ada warga negara sebab sekarang tengah memohon IC, kalau sudah dapat IC baru yang saya ini warga negara, jadi permohonan diteruskan. Tapi selepas berapa tahun tu dia permohonan tu macam tiada respon.
He tried to reapply for his identity card a few years later, only to be informed that his application was unsuccessful. From then on, his life went from bad to worse. At 15 years of age, Wong had to sit for a national examination. But with no identification card, he wasn't able to register for the exam. His school principal and teachers helped him by appealing directly to the Ministry of Education. But in the process, he began to lose interest in studying. He dropped out of school a year later.
Umur 16 saya sudah berhenti sekolah. Jadi saya start kerja pada umur tu, tapi pada umur 18 tahun ke bawah saya rasa senang sikit cari kerja sebab banyak kedai dia macam cari student part time, jadi macam umur saya pun masa tu masih dikategorikan student. Jadi senang sikit lah cari kerja. Macam pergi ada kadang-kadang saya buat tolong jual makanan di pasar. Saya kerja car wash. Tapi meningkat di umur 18 ke atas dia sangat susah. Sebab di situ kalau macam sudah start di zaman masuk awal dewasa.
Wong tried his hand at many things to earn a living. He once worked as a bus conductor, a DJ, a waiter, while taking up many other part-time jobs in between, just to try to earn a living.
Ada sekali tu saya di Keningau, saya kerja as a DJ di klub malam. Jadi kena red oleh immigration. Jadi saya gagal tunjuk IC, saya dibawa ke pejabat immigration lah dan saya kena lock up dalam berapa jam. Selepas kena cek, saya dibebaskan lah sebab immigration cakap yang permohonan saya masih dalam proses. Diorang tidak boleh buat apa-apa dengan saya. Perasaan saya masa saya masuk lock up tu agak takut juga sebab itu first time. Jadi saya pun macam yang fikir apa lagi nasib saya selepas ni di dalam ni.
He then filed a second application for citizenship. This time around, he was asked to collect the reply personally from the Home Ministry to find out if his application was successful.
Bila masa collect tu surat, saya pun macam nervous, saya pun macam harap permohonan sudah tunggu lama, saya harap permohonan itu akan dapat jawapan yang positif lah. Tapi bila saya buka tu surat, saya tengok permohonan ditolak. Jadi masa tu saya give up, macam saya tengok dunia ni gelap sudah. Macam no hope. Yang saya ingat, saya mau balik Sabah. Biarlah saya jalani hidup saya sebagai stateless seperti biasa sebelum ni.
It was then that Wong got to know Haijan Omar, a lawyer. With the help of Haijan, Wong decided to take the matter to court.
Tapi bila peguam Haijan, dia bagi saya semangat. dia tidak mau saya hilang semangat. Dia pujuk saya untuk supaya saya tidak down, supaya saya tidak buat benda yang bodoh yang boleh saya menjejaskan saya punya hidup. Dan dia cakap, dan dia arahkan saya untuk serahkan ni surat permohonan ditolak ni dengan dia, dan dia akan buat semakkan kehakiman lah untuk buat permohonan melalui kuat kuasa undang-undang melalui mahkamah.
Wong case is very unique on the facts of its own, whereas we know for a fact that Wong's parents they weren't unmarried officially. Therefore, under the law of this country, his nationality would follow of his mother's. So that's why I said, looking at this, Wong's mother now deceased. He possesses no real documents of his mother. So the only document that he's armed with is his birth certificate. So based on his birth certificate, he go and check with the embassies, like Indonesian embassy and Philippine embassy.
When the embassies of Indonesia and the Philippines confirmed that Wong's mother wasn't a citizen of either country, Wong and Haijan filed a lawsuit through a judicial review. And that included seeking a court order to confirm his status as a Malaysian citizen. In October 2019, the judge ruled in his favor and granted him Malaysian citizenship.
Tapi ya, dia masa tu memang tidak dijangka. We didn't expect it. Yang hakim dia berpihak dengan kita yang declare I'm a citizen, Malaysian citizen. Dan yalah, saya rasa macam pada masa tu macam unexpected lah. Saya expect lain tapi benda lain yang jadi.
The victory meant that Wong could proudly return home as a citizen. He wanted to show his foster father his identification card, a card that he had been fighting for more than 15 years.
Dan saya tidak boleh balik pun tengok dia. Dan saya ingatlah dia punya nasihat selalu, dia cakap kalau sudah dapat IC balik, itulah nasihat selalu dia bagi, sebab dia sudah tahu saya menang di mahkamah tinggi. Jadi dalam fikiran dia saya ni sudah dapat, saya ni sudah menang. Tapi saya sudah explain dengan dia, tapi dia orang tua dia pun tidak berapa faham macam mana court ni berjalan. Jadi saya kena tunggu appeal, saya tidak boleh balik. Tapi dia pun selalu saya kerap jugalah call pergi rumah dan bercakap dengan dia pun akan nasihat saya suruh balik. Dan saya sudah janjilah yang once kalau saya sudah dapat IC saya balik. Tapi saya tidak dapat tunaikan janji itu sama dia lah, sebab dia sudah pergi dulu. Ketahanan badan dia tu pun, antibody dia pun sudah lemah. Jadi bila sudah kena COVID, dia macam-macam penyakit sudah keluar. Jadi dia tidak boleh lawan sudah dia punya penyakit. Saya pun tidak boleh balik tengok dia. Jadi sekarang tinggal saya punya mama angkat sejak di Sabah. Dan saya terfikir jugalah macam yang saya mau balik just tinggal di Sabah dengan diorang selagi ada masa.
Although both the High Court and Court of Appeal have recognised his status as a Malaysian citizen, the Malaysian government is still hoping to overturn the decision by bringing the matter to the federal court.
I think it's a matter of a state's policy to not simply grant citizenship by operation of law. In fact, I think we have seen recently that our current Home Minister has made a public statement and adamant that having been born in Malaysia alone is not the basis for automatic registration as a citizen unless proven by necessary documentation.
My opinion is that Wong's case has become very high profile because on one hand, a majority of the members of the judiciary feel that Wong should be acknowledged as a Malaysian. Yeah, they feel that looking at the circumstances, he has tried everything that he could in his power, together with his lawyer, and that he is, of course, a Malaysian man, right?
Until the federal court arrives at a decision, Wong feels very happy that at least half of his battle has been won.
Ya, dia buat saya sangat gembira lah. Gembira yang saya tidak tahu macam mana saya mau describe. Ya, saya mau tambah lah, saya mau cakap sikit yang I was born here. Saya lahir di Malaysia, saya belajar budaya Malaysia, saya cakap bahasa Malaysia, saya makan makanan Malaysia. Semuanya saya punya hidup cuma di Malaysia.
The East Malaysian state of Sabah has been confronted with the issue of statelessness and undocumented immigrants for decades. But until today, the problem remains unresolved. 43-year-old Siti, for one, has chosen to live in Sabah along with all of her 10 children. But their status as stateless people has made it harder for them to survive and eke out a living in their adopted home. All she can do is to hope and pray for a miracle.
Kalau harapan saya lah, saya mau sangat ada pihak atasan yang perhatiin untuk saya, untuk anak saya. Bagilah kami bagilah kami satu tempat sini, macam satu dokumen yang boleh membuktikan kami yang kami di sini di Sabah kan, dan kami boleh bekerja meneruskan hidup.
But doing so may just encourage many more foreigners to enter into the state illegally. That's also the concern of Sabah's Deputy Chief Minister, Dr. Jeffrey Kittingan. He's among those who've been very vocal in calling for better management of the illegal migration problem.
If they want to come in, they have to have documents. They need to comply with our laws, our immigration laws. And our side, the government need to enforce the laws. They need to regulate them. If we have labor laws, immigration laws, why not enforce them? Also, we have laws dealing with who can vote, who cannot, who can become citizen, who cannot. And they should be strictly complied with.
Such a controversy cropped up in the 1990s during the premiership of former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. That's when a covert operation known as Project IC came about. The move was allegedly designed to topple the opposition PBS-led Sabah government by way of granting citizenship to thousands of illegal immigrants in the state. By offering identity cards to non-citizens, it altered the demographic makeup of Sabah. And that allegedly benefited the UMNO-led government of Barisan Nasional. That's also the view of Shirzali Hirza Asli, president of the Sabah Human Rights Center. A 2013 report by the Royal Commission of Inquiry revealed that more than 67,000 illegal immigrants were given blue or citizen identity cards, and another 68,000 were given outright citizenship.
This became a huge issue for the main native indigenous group, the Kadazan Dusun Murutsa, because most of the immigrants that were given citizenship were Muslims from the southern Philippines and Indonesia, which resulted in a huge population growth of about 300%, starting from 70s to the early 2000s. Now, it is widely believed that the granting of citizenship to mostly Muslim immigrants was done to cause the KDM community's percentage, as far as the population rate is concerned, to dwindle at a significant level for the purpose of causing the downfall of the then state government, which is an opposition state, our state opposition state at that time, under Parti Bersatu Sabah, which is a predominantly non-Muslim native party.
Some feel that Project IC had sowed the seeds of fear among the local indigenous communities as well. Many were worried that their political powers could be challenged one day if the issue wasn't addressed.
Yes, fear is justifiable. And why? Because it is already happening. The so-called Project IC have given the legitimacy to this fear because they have ICs, they become instant Malaysians, they are voters, and they are not supposed to be qualified voters, but they are voting. And therefore, they can decide who governs, who are the leaders, who are the representatives.
So honestly, in my personal experience working on this for the past 10 years or more, I don't feel that there is a growing resentment. However, during political season, it's constantly being used as a fear-mongering tool, so that's when things get a bit more hyped up.
In an effort to manage the problem, the government has been urged to speed up the process of granting a special card to foreign nationals who've been residing in the state, as well as their children, on humanitarian grounds. That would enable the authorities to ascertain the exact number of foreign nationals present in the state, while helping them to reap the benefits from the facilities offered by the state.
We need to regulate. We are not against foreigners. The people are not against foreigners. In fact, they welcome them to work here legitimately, but they need to be documented. They need to be regulated. And I think that is part of the solution, yeah.
In fact, in one family, they can be completely hybrid and have different siblings of different legal statuses, right? And all of this adds up to this larger discussion of what must the state do at this point. Is this an issue of being in protection of your indigenous population, or is it an issue of sort of protecting, well, not necessarily protecting, but doing what is right for particularly undocumented children? And I think the situation is incredibly clear. We need to find a way to offer documentation because, number one, Sabah is data blind. We do not know to the fullest extent and in the most accurate way possible how many members of the community there are, and basically all other important demographics that come with it. Gender, age, right? Mortality rates. All these things are incredibly important. Data is the one thing that we need first and foremost.
But it remains uncertain if the program will be accepted wholeheartedly by the stateless migrants. Many are still doubtful of the government's intentions. They're still afraid that the program will be used as a pretext to detain or deport them. City, for one, is still hoping for citizenship for herself and all her 10 children. Such recognition would help relieve her of the huge burden of trying to carve out a living for her family while giving her kids a proper education, affordable healthcare and employment to help them secure a better future for themselves.
Sekiranya diorang ada rasa kasihan dan bagi kami kewarganegaraan yang anak kami lahir sini, itulah kami lebih bersyukurlah. Kalau dia tidak bagi pun, yang penting kami ada di komin yang boleh meneruskan bekerja. Macam yang anak-anak saya yang tidak bernegara, kami tidak bernegara. Saya harap itu harapan saya lah yang lebih tinggi kalau ada yang pihak atas yang boleh bagi kami untuk meneruskan kehidupan di sini.
Saya rasa more than 90% yang orang stateless, especially di Sabah lah, diorang tidak tahu pasal hak diorang. Sebelum tu saya pun macam tu juga. Sebab once kau tiada IC, semua hak kau kena deny. Kau macam bukan manusia, kau bukan binatang. Kau punya hak kena deny langsung. Kau macam hantu yang hidup.